Welcome back to the second test match of 1984 here at Edgbaston. England are 93 for 4 and the West Indian fast bowlers really have them on the rack. As the players take drinks, I can see a shiny new bus on its way into Birmingham. And I imagine that one or two of the English batsmen rather wish Michael Holding were on board.
Michael Holding, such an elegant man. He runs in so quietly like a panther. Well spoken too. We should be proud of him. You could feel sorry for poor little Derek Randall, crouching like a naughty schoolboy, always grinning like he's nervous. Well, little fellow, the headmaster is coming now, gliding down the outfield to sort you out. Seymour always said, a batsman who smiles too much knows when his number is up. Mr. Randall should keep his smiling for the pavilion. Seymour liked Michael Holding. He always took the view that a quiet man was a fellow who had no need to explain himself. When he speaks, it is because he has something necessary to impart, and people listen. Take Mr. Scargill, for instance. On and on he goes, and the more he says, the less people listen. You can be sure that somewhere someone is quietly going on about their business, and that business is shutting up Mr. Scargill.
And that one went whistling past Randall's head. The poor chap looks like a startled whippet as he tries to settle himself for the next delivery.
Seymour was a fast bowler. It's where I met him. Back home on a Saturday afternoon, Daddy would take me to the cricket. We'd watch the village boys play, and Daddy was always pointing at the fielders. "What is that fellow's position, Lillian?" "Cover point, Daddy," I might reply, and he'd reward me with a peppermint if I was right. Soon I was always right. One hot, glorious day, when the boys were batting against a team from Kingston, he pointed at the boy at the boundary behind the batsman. "And what position is that, Lillian?" I was paralyzed. This boy was not like other boys. Not at all like the other boys. This boy had a straight back, tall and self-assured. The other boys were always shouting in the field, pulling faces at the batman and other such nonsense, as if that kind of behavior could distract a serious batman. Can you imagine Sir Everton Weekes or young Vivian Richard allowing foolishness to put them off their stroke? I should think not. This boy on the boundary was a serious fellow. He even seemed to be ignoring the crowd when they were shouting at him. He didn't seem to notice at all. His big, almond-shaped eyes just followed the ball from bowler to batsman to fielder and back again. Occasionally he would grasp his ankle and pull each in turn slowly up behind him to stretch his long, long legs. Then he would shift his weight from one foot to the other, settling himself for the next delivery. "Lillian, don't you know his position?" Poor Daddy, his little girl was lost and didn't even know it. "Long leg, Daddy." That's what I said. No peppermint for Lillian that afternoon. "That boy is at third man. You have had too much sun, I think." He was my long leg Daddy, and he was sweet as Demerara.
The bearded wonder and I have been making a glorious mess of a rather marvellous chocolate cake, which comes to us from Mrs. June Witter of Barnsley in Yorkshire. Well, it's quite a tremendous cake. The bearded wonder has been in rapture ever since its arrival. And many thanks to all the ladies who've sent cakes during the game. Rest assured that they have been very much appreciated by the children, and I suspect staff at Birmingham Children's Hospital. Now, Michael Holding to continue the attack from the pavilion end.
Making these cakes is a fussy business. I haven't made one since Seymour's last birthday. There was a man who appreciated a good chocolate cake. The quality of the sugar is a serious issue. Then there is the cream and the chocolate. Good chocolate is particularly hard to find. Too much of it nowadays is full of sugar, as if a person can't decide to add it themselves. In my opinion, all of this sugar is masking poor chocolate, and it is a hindrance for the serious cake maker. Seymour was particularly fond of chocolate cake, and I have always made it my business to know and find out the necessary ingredients. Nowadays, Mr. Chowdhury is very helpful in this regard. It seems absurd that I have to go all the way from Handsworth to Lozelle to find a proper chocolate, but there it is. Now, Mr. Chowdhury was a leg spinner when he was younger, and he is very much upset at the decline of leg spinning in international cricket. It is in his opinion, fast bowling is cheapening the beauty of the game. I hold my counsel on this point, as Mr. Chowdhury is a gentleman, and I suspect that he is disappointed that his son Ricky prefers football and will not even watch the cricket with his daddy. Although it could be pointed out that he is lucky to have even a footballing son, it is to be remembered that he does stock very good chocolate.
Ah, some fun and games now, I expect. Malcolm Marshall is to join the attack from the city end. Derek Randall looks positively forlorn.
Malcolm Marshall is a little rascal, a scamp. He goes skidding into bowl as if he were running away from a policeman. I have friends from Barbados who say he likes his rum, and he strikes me as that sort of fellow. He's fast though. It's funny seeing him bowling with Big Joel Garner, the fastest little one and the fastest big one together like a double act. Extra speedy, Markham and Wise. I think it's super good. Mr. Chowdhury wouldn't agree. Since I lost my television, I have to imagine them now. Mr. Johnson is very helpful in this regard. Seymour would always have the television on with the sound down and listen to the radio commentary. He always said that the television commentators were too lazy. The cameras did the work for them. Jonas, on the other hand, can paint a picture the cameras can't see. The television fellows are all cricketers, and they only see the game in the way a player does. An older man knows the poetry of the day itself. The game is crucial, but the day is our lives. A day should always be beautiful if you know how to live. Sunshine and a game of cricket will ensure it, even if you don't. I do miss the television. No, I don't have Seymour to look at. It would be lovely to watch the team doing well. Mr. Chowdhury says that the boys who took the televisions are drug addicts. He has to keep a bat in his shop, and we laugh about the children coming up the Lozelles Road, Gavaskar, and being knocked for six. It's not really very funny. You can mark my words. It will be bad here again like it was in 1981. These children don't know how to play. They should be playing, even if it's football.
And that's lunch here at Edgbaston, and England going feeling rather bruised and in need of a cup of tea. The bearded wonder has informed me that Marshall has taken over 20 wickets in each of the last 5 series. England will be hoping he ever does his lunch, I suspect.
Seymour always said that the key to fast bowling was balance. When you run in, you should be balanced. Your leap should not drift sideways, and your follow-through should be the same. Likewise, you should be aggressive but controlled. This is the way to take wickets. I have only ever bowled with Daddy when I was little, but I should have thought that everyone would understand this. Take my cake, for example. Too much dark chocolate, and it is bitter. Too much sugar, and it is sickly. Too much cream, and it is trifle. This is what these poor children have never been taught. It's sugar, sugar, sugar with them, and when the bowl is empty, they are empty. The result is that old ladies have to learn to imagine cricket from the radio, and old gentlemen have to keep bats in their shops. I miss my television. Seymour just winked when I asked how we paid for it. Not that I bet on the horses is a crime. These thieving boys, they think I don't know them, but I know them. Know all about them and their shiftless daddies treating little babies like a burden, not a precious, precious gift. Seymour would have been a lovely daddy. I keep my photographs in the box the television came in. At least there's something nice in there. I don't suppose mischievous boys would want to take them. It is the young girls who have the worst of it. Not enough straight backs to admire. Long-legged daddies aren't what they used to be.
And there's a rather delightful young lady circulating the Riots stand selling cream teas for £2.50 a throw. I suspect the bearded wonder will be quite helpless to resist her charms. Here comes Joel Garner, gliding in from the pavilion end.
Seymour was the shock of Daddy's lifetime. He would come from Kingston to see me in his suit with flowers and cigars for Daddy. I was 15 and he was dreamy. Daddy didn't like the oil in his hair, but he knew a good man when he saw one. He was just a good man who arrived too soon. I think Daddy would have liked a couple more years of fielding positions and peppermints. But Seymour knew to ask Daddy's advice about cricket and night school. And of course, England. Everyone was going to England. It made Daddy sad, but it was the right thing for Seymour to ask him about it, to make him feel it wasn't inevitable, that it was some way dependent upon Daddy's advice. I was so happy that they were friends. I'd never shown Daddy up at cricket by acting up for the boys or giggling. Seymour liked that about me too, I think. When we finally arrived here, things went well. We stayed with Seymour's aunt in Smethwick. I trained to be a nurse and he became an engineer. He still wanted to bowl, of course. And he found a team who just loved him. His friend Albie joined up and the English players called them two typhoons. I would make cakes for tea and try to talk to the other ladies. To be blunt, it was frustrating. Most of them didn't know an off break from a leg cutter, but they were friendly on the whole. Albie was a mischievous character. Said he was a rude boy. I think Malcolm Marshall would have liked him. He liked his rum. Dancing too. When we were first here, Albie used to go to clubs in town. He had a friend who played the saxophone and that was good for meeting the girls. He was all hats and baggy trousers. Soon English girls were coming to see him bowl and acting up worse, even worse than the girls back home. No more two typhoons. They said Seymour could stay, but if Albie couldn't play, Seymour wouldn't, and his bowling days were over. Those silly girls were the only ones to break his heart. I saw to that. We didn't see Albie very soon after that. He went into a different world. A sadder world. Poor Albie.
And Clive Lloyd is engaged in serious discussion with Malcolm Marshall, who looks rather less serious than his captain. The great man returns to slip, and Marshall runs in to bowl.
Clive Lloyd is a gentleman. He has scored 71 runs and his team is the best in the world could ever boast. John calls him an ambassador and he is right. Vivian Richards may hit the ball harder than Clive, but Clive is the man for me. Quiet, calm, statesmanlike. He is a credit to us all. He may not have the looks and he has to wear the glasses, but he is a fine man. He reminds me a little of Daddy. He would not put oil in his ear either, and Daddy also batted at number 6. It is possible to be a good man, whether you are a dependable middle or the batsman like Clive or Daddy, or a handsome fast bowler like Michael Holding and Seymour. Both of them can be good, I am sure of that. The world also needed Albies and Malcolm Marshalls. I think few of them go farther than a long way, however. And let us not forget the Brian Johnsons of the world and the Lillians. We cannot all be strutting around in the middle being admired. Where would we be then? Without a Johners, no one would know of these crickety deeds. Without Lillian, there would be no registered nurse to patch up the heroes of tomorrow's game. And precious little chocolate cake for either. Although Mr. Chowdhury must take some credit for that.
And that stumps here at Edgbaston, after a wonderful day for the West Indies. In glorious sunshine, Marshall and Holding have skittled England, and the steel drums are turning this corner of Birmingham into Kingston for the day.
There's no Daddy now, though. And no Seymour. And no television. So it's me and Johners who pass the day together. And it is a lovely day. If he is good enough to describe Michael Holding, and Vivian Richards, and Joel Garner, and Clive Lloyd, and even Malcolm Marshall so beautifully for me when his beloved England are losing, then it is the least I can do to send him a chocolate cake. Even if he does talk rather too much.